Good morning, everyone. Tony Saraceno and Tony Saraceno Baseball Show. Tuesday, June 30th, last day of June. Going to be in July before we know it. 4th of July is this Saturday. I hope everybody's got Friday off. Enjoy that nice long weekend. Especially the Met fans out there who have to keep putting up with this. So it's been a couple of days. I took the weekend off. I did watch both games over the weekend, and I did watch last night's game. Mets managed to kick that away by turning a base hit into inside the park home run. It was a triple and an error because A.J. Ewing couldn't pick the ball up. And the Mets lose. It's back on a 2-game losing streak, 15 games under 500. I heard Buster Oni the other day, who said that they felt that they could trade Marcus Semien for Willy Adames. It really shows you how bad shape the Mets are in, because there's no way the Giants got to eat a lot of that money. Adames is on a 5-year, $30 million contract. I don't see the Giants making a deal like that to take back Semien, who's washed up, and to pay him $30 million, $26 million a year for the next 2 years. I don't see that happening. Why would the Giants or the Mets? That's a trade that helps neither team. Adames, I think maybe you'll start to see he's going to be down. He's getting close to Marcus Semien territory. Not quite yet, but he's 32 years old, and he's going to be 33. And without steroids, guys don't play into their late 30s very effectively anymore. So you've seen a big change in that over the years. So you got a loss last night. Vientos and Beatty have dragging this team down now to levels that you can't even begin to fathom. 209 and 208. The whole Met lineup is just so bad. The only players the Mets can get anything for is Nolan McLean, Lindor, Soto, but there's only certain teams that can take those contracts, and not like you're going to trade them anyway. But the problem is trying to build around them. One of the guys the Mets may be able to get a little something for, maybe, and I would be Sean Manaea. He's been pitching well, but again, the Mets going to have to eat the contract, and nobody's given up anything. I looked through a lot to what the Mets could get back on these small market teams, and I see they're smart now. These small market teams are not. There's a blueprint, and all these guys are in their 20s on the Pirates and the A's and the Twins, and the White Sox, young teams. Now the White Sox aren't small market, but they're just young teams though, and I don't see these guys trading their top level prospects. Stern has in 1 year put this into such a downward spiral that I don't know if they're going to get back up. And the thing that's really, I tried to figure out David Stearns and his psychology of what he's trying to think of when he does something. And in his mind, he's never wrong, because he's an engineer at heart, and any engineer will tell you that if 2 + 2 = 4, you're right. If the numbers fit, it's supposed to work. Okay, but baseball is not like that. Baseball, as Joe Torre told Brian Cashman when he was leaving, hey, Cash, there's a place for analytics in this game, but this game also has a heartbeat. And all the analytics in the world can't get around to what's inside of here and who a guy is, and how he relates to being in New York, or how he relates to his teammates, or how he relates to, anything. And New York is a very broad term, but it could be the media, it could be the fans. It's a different thing, and everybody's different. And what guys do with their talent is, and where they put their talent, are very, very important. And these players are young, and they're just kids, and they're strange. And you're going to reduce this down to a mathematical equation called WAR, or OPS. actually like OPS, but WAR is a little bit more. There's more inside of that. They got rid of Alonso because of his WAR. I'll do two fingers on that. I'll do a finger quote. You know, and which really doesn't make any sense because Bo Bichette is in negative WAR right now. So I guess what? You looked at his baseball. He's been a terrible fielder, and WAR I've always felt takes fielding into an account probably a little too much, but they got their formulas. But Bichette he's at a negative WAR right now. His average was coming up, and but yet they spent 2 years on him for $50 million. I mean, he's got the option to pick it up. I don't know if he's going to stay here. And let me tell you something else about this is the level of these players and where their mindset is and growing up. And I'm going to give you a sound like my father. This is for the older guys who watch. He was crying in the dugout last night being back in Toronto, right? The emotion. He was crying. Oh, he was treated like a king when he came back. Okay, they love him there. That's great. If they love you there, why'd you leave? You left for the money. Okay? Own it. Don't cry and it's emotional. Because if it meant that much to you, see, I find that to be disingenuous. And I don't mean to be cynical about it, but if you care enough that if you leave a place, you'll cry, and they made you a decent contract offer and you left for an extra $10 million, okay? Now 10 million when you got nothing is a lot, but if you've got 50 million and someone gives you 10 million, yeah, should you take it? Well, I guess it depends, but it's not that big a deal when you're already set for life and you can be making tons of money. Anyway, go do a few more endorsements. You'd have been fine. You'd make money. But he's crying in the dugout last night. It's an emotional homecoming. He left on his own volition. He left. He made a choice to leave. He wasn't Tom Seaver who got traded. Okay? And I get Tom Seaver crying. I mean, I remember being a kid almost crying when they traded Tom Seaver and Dave Kingman that night. June 1977, the Midnight Massacre for you Met fans who are as old as I am. And Seaver was crying. I get that. I know he had been fighting with Donald Grant for the previous, couple of months, and it got very personal. All right? It got very, very personal. But he didn't. I get what Seaver was coming from that day and why he was crying. And there are certain players when they retire, they cry because they love the game. But I'm sorry. I'm watching this last night and I'm looking at this and I'm taking a very cynical tone when I saw him crying in the dugout and welling up. And I get it where it's an emotional thing and it's natural, but keep that stuff inside you. You don't you think other Met fans want to see you crying? You love Toronto so much, go back to it. Go re-sign with him. You can opt out of this contract this year if you feel you made a mistake, or keep that inside. You can feel that all you want. Okay, but be a man and hide that. Okay, keep it inside, and ask yourself that. Don't sit there and cry. I don't want to see it. Don't put it on it. Maybe I can turn the channel, which I did. Put on another game, but it was just mind-boggling to me that you're on a team, that's 15 games under 500 that you took a lot of money from. You took $50 million basically. You have a choice. You get 27 this year and you'll get 25 next year if you hang around. And it's $50 million for 2 years. That's an awful lot of money if you want it. And you're out there crying from the place that you left. I get we're all human beings and we feel emotions, but keep it inside. The Met fans don't want to see it. I certainly don't want to see it. I don't know what you got to be crying about. Seriously, you ought to be crying about your performance with the Mets. You cry enough to do that? You took a lot of money. It's amazing to me how the behavior, and in some ways, that's a selfishness that's there. I know that sounds crazy, but it's the truth. Okay? Am I supposed to cry? I'm not saying those tears weren't genuine, but get it off camera. Okay? Get it off camera and cry and get it out when there's nobody around. because you have a responsibility as well on the flip side to this. And it's to show that you're a leader on the Mets, and that when things aren't going well, that you can sit here and you can help lead the team. You're not a rookie. You know, you're a 7-8 year veteran here. I don't know how many years he's been in the league. I think 7 years, 8 years right now. Act like it. Okay? I mean, come on. Your team is 15 games under 500. I get it. It doesn't have to be out in front, but there's responsibilities here. And especially to Met fans. Do you think Met fans want to see you crying like a 4-year-old? Oh, I left the Blue Jays. It was at my home. Okay, good. Get over it. Nobody died. It was your job. You treat it like a job when you want money. Okay? I've gone back to places where I used to work, and believe me, I didn't cry. I didn't cry. Nice to see everybody again, but I didn't cry. This is supposed to be more emotional. No. You can't have it both ways in this world. You can't treat baseball. You know, that's the old line from John Matuzak in North Dallas 40. Every time I call it a game, you call it a business. And whenever I call it a business, you call it a game. You can't argue. You can't just pick and choose those moments anymore. You just can't. Okay? You stand up. You took the money. You have a responsibility to the team you're on to be completely loyal to that team. If you want to feel that your heartstrings are being tugged a little bit because you have a lot of fond memories of the place, well, that's great. Grow up, keep it inside like a man does, okay? And get out there and win a game for your team. Not go 0 for 4, all right? And field the balls terribly as you do every night anyway. You got no range. They don't know where to put you. And it's embarrassing. I haven't seen, you know. Anyway, I got a little long there on Bo Bichette. I wanted to talk more about what the Mets can do to improve or trade, and not even improve for this year. They're in big trouble. I can't see them getting any better without spending boatloads of money. I got news for you, Steve Cohen. Your payroll, if you want to be good, is going up to $400 million next year. If you want to be good. You just got too much on the books. You're going to have to absorb way too much salary for the guys that you need to get rid of. If you think you're going to play another year with these guys because your formulas say you should, well, you're going to be fired. Then it'll be that quick, that easy. You know, I saw an interview where Eric Chavez blew the whistle on the Met organization with the coaching staff. We've been talking about this for the longest time. You know, I've seen AJ Ewing get picked off twice. He got thrown out again last night. You think he could use Antoine Richardson right now? Help him learn how to steal bases? Obviously, no one's teaching him. I see Lindor make another error last night. Okay, lazy. You know, he made an error to start the season. He forgot how many outs there were at one time in the start of the season. These are things that should be reinforced. I get it, they're professionals. But you know what? Good coaches never let you forget. I mean, whether you played one game or you played 1,000 games. Okay? There's a mental process that everybody has to go through to be ready to play. Okay? And we can get lazy in that process. And that's what a coach will remind you of. But when you have coaches like these guys who don't know anything and are clueless and are all outside bait, they're not professional baseball players. Okay, they're all handpicked by David Stearns. Handpicked. All right? They've allowed the team that has very little talent, don't kid yourself, they have little talent, to be a poor fundamental team on top of it. And also a team that really doesn't hustle. I mean, I get when I see Austin Wells jog down the first base, you know, he's a catcher. Or if Alvarez, who dove and laid out his body to try to catch a foul pop-up. You know, if he does that, do you think Juan Soto can run the first base hard 4 times a game? Think he can run hard? Jog, it takes a sweet time getting down the line every night. Gee, for the money that you're getting paid, can you run hard 4 times a night? And I get it. There are times when your legs hurt. You're playing 162 games a year. Soto does play a lot of games until this year. But if you're playing 150, 155 games a year, your body gets beaten up and you do feel it's tough. It's tough. Sometimes you don't go all the time hard down the first. You kind of 75%. He's getting down to about 50% now, which just looks like crap. Okay? You can 75, 80% it when you run down the line. You know, you don't got to bust it, but give 80% at least. Again, I know your legs get tired. I know it's hard sometimes. I've had 2 knee replacements from playing ball. I get it. There are days when you're just going to take it easy. But when it's your job and you're making, you've got a $700 million contract, can you at least give me 80% down the line 4 times a night? Is that hard? Can someone please tell him this? No. Why? Because the coaches aren't going to tell Juan Soto. Because coaches have played independent ball. And you're going to tell one of the best hitters in baseball, so you think he's going to listen to you? If it comes down to his word or your word, guess who's getting kicked out? Not him. You have no currency. That's the coaches that you put around. Okay, a bunch probably yes men. All right, a bunch of guys who start sentences out with yep, okay, and there's just no pushback and there's no creativity. Okay, and there's no reinforcement of fundamentals, and that's what you're seeing here on this ball club every day. And it starts with Stearns, and he needs to go. He needs to be fired. I can't see him lasting 2. I mean, this has been, and the new GM is going to come in. It's going to take a year, at least a year. I'd be surprised if this team can make the playoffs next year, unless they go out and they spend a lot of money and they eat a lot of contracts, because they don't have the talent in place. No matter what that doofus Stern says, whatever his notebook says or his little analytics, I'm sorry, it just doesn't. It's not going to work. So, anyway, this is the world of Metland. Another day. They're in Toronto today and tomorrow. They got an afternoon game tomorrow for everyone, just to help you pay attention to that. We'll see how it goes tonight. Doesn't matter. Season's over. You're 15 games under 500. You're not winning. And I don't even know what they could do at the trade deadline. Again, he has boxed himself into such a corner that there's nowhere to go. There's no players to trade. There are no players to trade that anybody would possibly want, unless they're going to eat a ton of money. And I don't see anybody out there doing that because they're not that good, unless it's Soto and Lindor. And Lindor is probably the only close chip that they got to trade. And he's going to be 33 years old next season. Maybe it's not a bad time to trade Lindor. I would look at the possibility of it. But then again, they don't even have a shortstop in their system who could hit. Ronnie Mauricio, he's hitting 182. He's been here. He's been around 3 or 4 years. He's not showing that you can be a major league shortstop every day. All right, guys. Enjoy the day. I'll see you tomorrow.